All right, let's talk about Joey Porter Jr., the player who a lot of people were very hyped up on coming out of the draft. A lot of people had him going even, potentially top 15 in certain mock drafts heading into the draft. He ended up falling all the way to pick 32, which in most years would be a first-round selection, and this year it was a second-round selection due to the Dolphins losing their first-round pick. This was the pick that they got from the Bears when the Bears traded away that pick for Chase Claypool. So let's see, how did Joey Porter Jr. Fare in this game? Well, let's start off with this play. It's going to be a one-on-one matchup, and to be honest, a lot of these plays that we're going to talk about are going to be plays where the ball just didn't come in his direction, which, is usually a good sign, right? Usually, if you're doing the film study on a corner and the ball's constantly going in their direction, it's usually not a good thing, although there are some exceptions there as well. But right here, okay, so it's going to be a one-on-one matchup here on the outside. They gave him a lot of one-on-one matchups. I mean, we really got to see him. What is he going to do in these one-on-one scenarios? So just watch how this play starts. Right off the bat, you see the receiver, kind of fakes as though he's going towards the outside, but then it's going to start to move towards the inside, and it just did not work at all. I mean, Joey Porter is on him at this point completely, and this is very promising to see if you're a Steelers fan. How many times I was watching film and just like, there's no separation. I mean, this is a throw that you wouldn't even think about making. Even if that was your one read, you would, take the sack before making that throw because it's just not open. As I said earlier, throw goes somewhere else. But I mean, the reality is that's a tough route to cover. I mean, those kind of quick routes over the middle against man coverage when you're completely on an island on the outside, that's a high degree of difficulty route, and Joey Porter Jr. made it look easy. But okay, let's see how he does some other routes. So this is going to be the same situation. And again, I would say this is the coverage that puts the most stress on a corner. I guess the exception would be cover 0, but teams barely run that. This is the one coverage that teams will run consistently that puts the most stress on the corner. That's how I would phrase it. And so, a difficult situation, and this is the one route that I would say is the most important to be able to cover as a corner, probably just period, which is a one-on-one matchup on the outside with a single safety deep. If you can do this consistently and cover this consistently, it completely opens up the playbook for a defensive coordinator, and you can really do whatever you want. So right when this play begins, the receiver is going to get a clean release, just goes to the outside a little bit to make sure that he can get some separation so that he can get off the line, because we do know that Joey Porter Jr. can use his physicality when necessary. So right here, I mean, it's basically going to turn into a foot race, and it's a tough situation for Joey Porter Jr. Absolutely a tough situation. Your back is turned away from the quarterback at this point, so all you can do is play the receiver. You don't know exactly when the ball is coming. You have to make sure you give up as little amount of separation as possible. But as you see, he has no trouble hanging with that receiver and does not give up any separation on that play. It's another just locked down route right there. Really good stuff, I thought, from Joey Porter Jr. But what about something like this, where what's going to happen on this play is it's going to once again be a very similar situation, where on that side of the field, it really is a one-on-one matchup. If it gets too far towards the middle of the field, eventually there is help. But for a big chunk of this play, it's going to be a one-on-one matchup here, which again, for a corner, you're going to need to be able to cover these routes. It's also worth mentioning the receiver he's going up against and has been going up against on these past plays as well is Trent Sherfield, who, listen, he's not Stephon Diggs, he's not Tyreek Hill, right? But he is still, I think, an effective receiver. He is an NFL caliber receiver, showed some flashes when he was playing for Miami last year. So he's not like just some complete scrub they signed off the street, because, again, preseason, sometimes you have to, someone looks very impressive, and you look up who they were playing against, and it was some undrafted free agent from 7 years ago, and you're like, okay, maybe that's kind of why. Again, not to say that there's any shame in being an undrafted free agent who plays in the preseason. That's certainly more than I could do, but, just throwing that out there as, that's always a part of it during the evaluation process. But, okay, no, going up against an NFL caliber receiver, let's see how he does on this route, which is a good route against this type of coverage. Watch how when this play begins, it's a really good move, I thought, by Sherfield to kind of fake as though he's going towards the outside. That was, I would say, an effective move, as he's now going to try to get towards the middle of the field. And it's a bit of a peculiar position for Joey Porter Jr. And he did move a little bit towards the outside. So how are you going to react here? Well, as you see, again, he's able to just hang with him. Now, there was a potential opportunity. If that throw was thrown at a perfect spot, it could have been a catch. But even if it was, it's probably only going to go for a few yards. So, oftentimes for a corner, their job is not to be, consistently making it that a receiver could never make a catch. It's just to make things really difficult on the receiver and on the quarterback if the ball goes in that direction. And that's exactly what Porter still did on this play, despite it being really a tough thing to cover. And these are the kind of things that I think gets you really excited as a Steelers fan. The fact that he can do this consistently, or at least has shown that he can do it consistently in certain scenarios. He also had this play, which was probably the most well-known play, of this video, where it's going to be a zone coverage play. So different than the last plays we've seen. This is cover 2 zone, meaning that for Porter, you're supposed to cover around 5 to 15 yards down the field. That's typically what they say in cover 2 zone, also known as the flat. That's the area you're supposed to cover. You have a receiver who's running a route that's supposed to get just past where Joey Porter Jr. is supposed to cover, but also will be kind of underneath the safety who's deep. That's how this throw could work. It's a tough throw, but there is usually a window there. However, right when this play begins, Porter Jr. is going to do something very interesting where he's going to create some contact, and he is right at that one line, right out that 1 yard area. You have a yard to create contact if you choose. You could maybe argue he's a little bit past this, but usually if you start the contact at the 1 yard line, they'll let you kind of play on and even create some more contact, even if you then go 2 or 3 yards down the field. And so watch how Porter Jr. does push off right there, which gets the receiver out of bounds, which usually means you can't catch the football. In this scenario, the receiver would still be able to catch the football, however, if they get both feet back in bounds. I think a lot of lesser corners in this scenario would still play the receiver. They would still look at the receiver, make sure they're covered, and then maybe turn their head around the other way that Porter is doing it. You see how Porter is turning, looking towards his right here. He's just going straight back to the quarterback because he knows where his help is, right? He knows that, he really has to only cover to around a 30-ish yard line, and if he keeps going back and looks down the field and looks towards the quarterback, he can make sure that he can cover that. For some reason, the throw was made in this direction, and Porter Jr. is able to adjust nicely and get the interception on that play. Really good stuff from him, I thought. And again, it's using his physicality to a pretty big benefit there, but also understanding the situation and understanding your assignment on this specific play. And, I think about something like this as this is the benefit. This is why you draft Joey Porter Jr. This is when people fell in love with him coming out of the draft. This is why people fell in love with him. He has shown all of those things, and certainly maybe could be a steal for the Steelers given how he is playing so far. And wouldn't that just make the most sense in the world? The Steelers getting a steal that they drafted in day 2, because that's just what they always do, it seems like. So, really good stuff from him. Again, still is just one performance, but, looking good so far. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Joey Porter Jr. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of his performance? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.